At some point in the not so distant past, maybe let's say the last 10 years, profitability for MSPs stopped being a result that occurred because of other things that you were doing in the company, and it started to become the goal in and of itself. That's a very important distinction because healthy businesses, not just MSPs, but any business, any healthy business tends to be profitable because they are doing certain things in a certain way. It's not because they just charged enough money in order to be profitable. They made more income revenue relative to the expenses, and therefore they are profitable. Most healthy businesses, in fact, I would probably say all healthy businesses, are profitable because they do certain things. They document a process that they have. They have a process. If they have a process, it is documented. They standardize service delivery. They have a very good, tight internal set of security controls for their company, whatever their company may do, but especially true for MSPs. And they manage risk, not just financial risk, not just technical risk, but all types of business risk that could be computed in a variety of different ways. It could be analyzed in a variety of different ways, but they handle risk across the board well. The MSP channel today, though, kind of has turned that whole notion upside down on its head. And so now you have MSPs and people who profess to be MSP experts and gurus and, all manner of opinionated people. And God knows there's a lot of them out there. I have tons of opinions myself. The conversation today, though, is really focused on something different. And there's more and more questions around, well, how do I increase my margin without really changing anything else? Right? How do I increase my margin without incurring more cost that's going to mess with my bottom line? How do I cut costs without really cutting security? How do I optimize my EBITDA in a way that it isn't going to mess with other aspects of our service delivery, and so on and so on? The realization, though, I think, is you can be profitable as an MSP and you can still be dangerously immature. True just for MSPs. I think there are many other businesses and business models out there where this is a true statement. You can be profitable and still be relatively unorganized. And disorganization is the least of the problems. For MSPs, it is a question of cyber hygienics. And cyber hygiene really boils down to, today, one of the chief areas of interest, legitimate interest by government regulators, public policy people, people who pass laws, court systems like judges and juries who are asking increasing questions related to MSP maturity levels. Cyber insurance underwriters ask this question every single day. And it doesn't start with, hey, are you profitable? It starts with, what are your cyber hygiene practices? What are your internal risk practices? What are your documented processes? And do you follow them? And so forth and so on. Again, it doesn't mean that profitability doesn't matter, but it does mean that you ought to focus on maturity metrics first before you start paying attention to or really worrying about messing around with margin and profitability status. You will get there. If you're doing the other things well, you will get to the profitability metric that you want, and you will be able to fine tune and run your business and keep a keen eye on your financial KPIs. And you will also have the other maturity aspects well covered. So again, you can be profitable as an MSP and still be very dangerously immature or have poor MSP maturity metrics that you exhibit. And that's really what we've all been saying for 20 plus years in managed services is you can't look at a balance sheet or a P&L for an MSP and tell anything other than, a financial story of what they're doing. But it tells next to nothing about how they operate